There comes a moment, often hidden in the quiet hum of our days, when the soul begins to stir, a gentle ache for something more, something eternal. We feel it in the stillness of the night, in the weight of unanswered questions, and in the beauty that lingers in a fleeting sunset. This longing is not accidental. It is the whisper of the infinite calling us home. And in that moment, one decision stands before us, a decision not born of ambition or striving, but of surrender to the grand design already woven into the fabric of our being. To step into this truth is to awaken to the symphony of life itself, where even our trials and silences play their part in a divine masterpiece. And as we yield to this sacred rhythm, we find that we were never wandering, we were always being led. There is a stirring within you, one that has been there for as long as you can remember. It's not the kind of thing you can hold in your hands or explain in a single sentence, but you've felt it, haven't you? In the quiet hours of the night, when the world slows and distractions fade, there it is, a longing, a whisper, a sense that there is more to life than what meets the eye. It comes to you in moments of beauty, when the golden light of the evening sun stretches across the horizon, and something in you aches, though you cannot say why. It comes in the stillness, in the pause between heartbeats, in the depths of silence where your soul listens for something beyond itself. This longing is no accident. It was placed within you before the foundations of the world, a divine call woven into the fabric of your being. It is the voice of eternity echoing through time, the gentle hand of the Creator reaching into your life, inviting you into something greater. But so often we drown it out. We fill our days with noise, our minds with distractions, our hearts with lesser loves. We chase after success, after approval, after things that promise fulfillment, but leave us emptier than before. And yet, no matter how far we run or how much we accumulate, the longing remains. Because nothing in this world, no achievement, no relationship, no earthly treasure, can quiet the call of the eternal. Perhaps you have tried to ignore it. Perhaps you've told yourself that life is nothing more than a series of random events, that there is no grand design, no greater purpose beyond what you can see, but deep down you know that isn't true. You know because you have seen glimpses of something more, and in the face of a newborn child, in the vastness of the ocean, in the kindness of a stranger, in the way music can move you to tears without a single word being spoken. You have seen it, you have felt it. And if there is even the faintest whisper of eternity in the moments of this life, then surely there must be something beyond the veil of time. So the question is not whether you have heard the call. The question is whether you will answer it. Because one day, whether soon or late, you will come to the end of yourself. The things of this world will fade, the applause will die down, the things you thought would satisfy will crumble like dust in your hands, and in that moment you will realize that the longing was never for anything this world could offer. It was always for Him, for the one who formed you, who knows you, who has been calling you all along. Tonight the decision stands before you. Will you continue to chase after the temporary, or will you step into the eternal? Will you silence the call once more, or will you finally say yes? You see, we live in a world that teaches us to fight, to push, to climb higher and reach farther. We are told that if we work hard enough, think smart enough, or try long enough, we can control our destiny. And so we strive. We chase after success, after recognition, after things that promise to satisfy the hunger deep within our souls. Yet the more we strive, the more restless we become. The more we grasp, the more life seems to slip through our fingers. But there is a truth, an ancient truth, that the world often overlooks. It is this: the greatest transformation in life does not come through striving, it comes through surrender. Now, I know that word may feel uncomfortable. Surrender sounds like defeat. It sounds like weakness. But in the eyes of heaven, surrender is the doorway to true strength, true freedom, true life. You see, when we surrender, we are not giving up. We are giving in to something far greater than ourselves. We are laying down our own plans, our own fears, our own control, and saying, God, I trust you. I trust that you are good. I trust that your plan for my life is far greater than anything I could build with my own hands. There is something miraculous that happens when a heart fully surrenders to God. The burdens we've carried for so long, our guilt, our shame, our fear of the future, they begin to lift. The chains that have bound us to the mistakes of our past begin to break. And in that moment of surrender, we step into a freedom the world cannot give and a peace that surpasses all understanding. Think about it. When a seed falls to the ground, it does not grow by struggling or fighting to become something great. It simply surrenders to the soil. It allows itself to be broken, to be buried, and in that surrender, life begins to spring forth. Roots reach deep, and from that broken seed comes a mighty tree that bears fruit for generations. The same is true for you and me. But here's the thing. Surrender is not a one-time decision. It is a daily choice. Every morning we are faced with the decision to either hold tightly to control or to open our hands and trust the one who holds all things together. We are called to surrender our pride, our fears, our dreams, and even our failures, and to place them in the hands of the one who sees the end from the beginning. And when we do, something extraordinary happens. We begin to live not out of our own strength, but out of his strength. We begin to walk not in fear, but in faith. We begin to see that even in our struggles and suffering, God is working all things together for good. You may be here tonight tired from the weight of carrying your life on your own shoulders. You've been striving, but you're weary. You've been fighting, but you're losing hope. And deep down, you know that there must be more. My friend, there is more. And it begins the moment you let go, the moment you stop striving and start trusting. The moment you stop running and turn toward the one who has been pursuing you all along. And when you do, you will find that the very thing you've been searching for has been waiting for you in the arms of your Creator. For true life begins not in holding on, but in laying it all down. Have you ever stopped to consider how nothing in this life stands alone? The sun does not rise for itself, nor does the rain fall for its own gain. The rivers flow to meet the oceans, and the trees stretch toward the heavens, giving shade and bearing fruit for others. And all of creation moves in harmony, each part playing its role in a grand and glorious design. And so it is with your life. You were not placed here by accident. The moments of joy you've experienced, the trials you've endured, the silence you've wrestled with, they are not random fragments of an empty existence. No, they are threads in a divine tapestry, woven together with purpose and intention by the hands of the one who sees the whole picture. But often we cannot see it. We look at our struggles, our failures, our moments of loneliness, and we wonder, where is God in all of this? We feel as though we are wandering, as though we've been forgotten. Yet just as the composer of a great symphony allows moments of tension and silence to give depth to the music, so too does God allow seasons of hardship and stillness to shape us, to draw us closer to him, and to prepare us for something far greater than we can now imagine. You see, life is not a collection of isolated events. It is a story, one that began long before you took your first breath and will continue long after you've taken your last. And in this story, every joy, every sorrow, every step forward, and every moment of waiting is being used by the master craftsman to mold you into the person he created you to be. Think about Joseph, who was sold into slavery by his own brother. From the pit to the prison, he must have felt abandoned, forgotten. Yet in the silence of those years, God was preparing him to stand before Pharaoh and save an entire nation. Or consider David, anointed as king but sent back to tend sheep and later pursued by Saul through the wilderness. In those lonely places, God was forging a heart that would one day shepherd his people. And I tell you tonight, the same God who worked through their lives is working through yours. Perhaps you find yourself in a season of waiting. Perhaps you're carrying wounds that no one else can see. Maybe you've been praying for an answer that hasn't yet come, but I want you to hear this. God wastes nothing, not a single tear, not a single moment of struggle, not a single prayer spoken in the dark. He is weaving all of it into a story far greater than you can comprehend. And when you begin to see your life this way, not as a series of disconnected events, but as part of a divine masterpiece, you will find peace even in the midst of uncertainty. You will begin to trust that the delays are not denials, that the pain is not without purpose, and that the silence is not abandonment but preparation. So don't lose heart. The threads that seem tangled and broken today are being woven into something beautiful, something eternal. And one day, when you stand in His presence, you will look back and see that every step, every struggle, and every moment of surrender was part of His perfect design. Deep within every human heart is a question that haunts us from the moment we begin to grasp the world around us. Who am I? We search for identity in the things we do, the titles we hold, and the approval of others. We measure our worth by the size of our success, the admiration of those around us, and the fleeting applause of this world. Yet no matter how high we climb or how much we achieve, the ache remains. There's an emptiness that no amount of recognition or accomplishment can fill. Why is that? Because you were never meant to find your identity in the things of this world. The world will tell you that you are defined by what you do, what you own, or how others see you. But I tell you tonight, those things will pass away. The applause will fade. The achievements will be forgotten. The things you built with your hands will crumble to dust. But there is something within you that is eternal. You were not created for this world alone. You were created by the one who spoke the stars into existence, who carved the mountains and filled the seas, and yet chose to breathe His very life into you. You were formed with purpose, with intention, with a calling that cannot be found in the eyes of man, but only in the heart of the one who made you. And when you surrender to Him, when you lay down your striving and your endless search for meaning in the temporary things of this world, something miraculous happens. The scales fall from your eyes. You begin to see yourself not as the world sees you, but as He sees you, loved, chosen, redeemed. You see, your identity is not in your past mistakes. It's not in your failures or your successes. It's not in what others have said about you or what this world has labeled you. Your identity is in Christ. And when you step into that truth, when you embrace the reality that you belong to Him, everything changes. Fear begins to lose its grip. The chains of shame and guilt begin to break. The need to prove yourself, to earn your worth, to seek validation from others, it all begins to fall away. For when you know whose you are, you no longer have to strive to become something in the eyes of the world. You are already loved beyond measure, already accepted, already known. And when that truth sinks deep into your heart, you begin to live differently. You begin to walk with confidence, not in your own strength, but in the strength of the one who goes before you. You begin to speak with boldness, not because of who you are, but because of who He is within you. You begin to love others with a compassion that flows not from your own heart, but from the heart of the one who loved you first. My friend, this world will try to define you. It will try to tell you that your worth is found in what you achieve, how you look, or what others say about you. But tonight I tell you this, your true identity can only be found at the foot of the cross. And when you finally see yourself through the eyes of your Creator, you will discover that you were never meant to live for the applause of men. You were created for something far greater, to reflect the glory of the one who called you by name before the foundations of the world. There is a path that stretches before each one of us, though we cannot always see where it leads. Life, with all its twists and turns, victories and sorrows, often feels uncertain. We make plans, we set goals, and we try to control the outcome, but how quickly we find that life does not bend to our will. Circumstances change, doors close, storms come, and in those moments, fear creeps in. We fear what lies ahead. We fear the unknown. We fear that we will be left wandering, forgotten, and without purpose. But tonight I want to tell you this. You do not walk this path alone. There is one who goes before you, who sees the end from the beginning. The very steps you take, the seasons of waiting, the unexpected detours, they are not accidents. They are part of a divine plan, orchestrated by the one who loves you with an everlasting love. You may not understand the journey now. You may feel as though you've been walking through a valley of darkness, unable to see the light ahead. But let me tell you, God is never idle. In the silence, He is working. In your waiting, He is shaping you. In your struggles, He is strengthening you. But trust requires surrender. It requires releasing your grip on the things you cannot control and placing them into the hands of the one who holds the heavens and the earth. It is not blind faith. It is faith rooted in the unchanging character of a faithful God. Look at the stories of those who came before us. Abraham was called to leave everything familiar and step into the unknown, not knowing where God would lead him. Moses stood before the Red Sea with an army behind him, and yet God made a way through the waters. Peter stepped out of the boat and walked on water because his eyes were fixed not on the waves, but on the one who called him. And I ask you tonight, what is God calling you to trust Him with? Is it your future, your family, your fears, your failures? You see, the moment you let go of your need to control, you will find freedom. The burden you've been carrying will lift, and your heart will begin to rest in the truth that God is not only leading you, He is walking beside you. The world will tell you to rely on your own strength, to chart your own course, and to make your own way. But I tell you, true peace is not found in having all the answers. It is found in knowing the one who does. When you trust Him with your life, you will find that even the closed doors, even the moments of pain, even the seasons of waiting, they are not wasted. He is using all of it to prepare you for something far greater than you could ever imagine. So I ask you tonight, will you trust Him? Will you trust Him when the road is uncertain? Will you trust Him when the answers do not come? Will you trust Him when the storm rages and the night feels long? Because when you do, you will find that His promises are true, His guidance is sure, and His love for you will never fail. There comes a moment in every life when eternity presses upon the soul. It may come in the quiet of the night, when the noise of the world fades and the heart begins to ask, is this all there is? Or it may come in the midst of suffering, when everything we've clung to is stripped away and we are left face to face with the reality of our own frailty. But hear me tonight. This moment is not one to fear. It is a divine invitation. You see, there is one decision that holds the power to change your life forever, not just for a season, not for a few fleeting years, but for eternity. And that decision is this: will you surrender your life to the one who gave His life for you? We've spoken about the longing within you, the ache for something more, something eternal. We've spoken about the power of surrender, about the grand design that is being woven through your trials and your triumphs. And we've spoken about finding your true identity, not in what the world says you are, but in the one who created you. But all of these truths lead to this one moment, because the God who formed you, who knows your every thought and sees the depths of your heart, stands before you even now, calling you by name. He is not a distant God. He is not waiting for you to clean yourself up or prove your worth. No, He is the God who stepped down from heaven, who bore your sin and your shame, and who conquered death itself so that you might live. And tonight He is offering you something the world cannot give: peace with God, forgiveness from your past, and a hope that reaches beyond the grave. But this gift cannot be earned. It cannot be bought with good deeds or religious effort. It can only be received through faith, through the simple, humble surrender of your heart to Him. Some of you have been running for a long time, running from your past, running from the truth, running from the very one who loves you most. But I tell you tonight, no matter how far you've run, His arms are open wide. Others of you have tried to fill the emptiness with success, with relationships, with the fleeting pleasures of this world, but you've found that none of it satisfies. That's because your soul was made for eternity. You were made to know Him, to walk with Him, and to be filled with the love that only He can give. So I ask you tonight, will you say yes? Will you surrender your life to the one who gave everything for you? I cannot make this decision for you. Your parents cannot make it for you. Your friends cannot make it for you. This is between you and God. But I can tell you this. The moment you choose to surrender, the moment you open your heart and invite Him in, everything changes. Your past is forgiven. Your soul is made new, and you step into a life of purpose, of peace, and of eternal hope. And one day, when this life is over, you will stand before Him, not as a stranger, but as a child who has come home. The choice is yours. But I tell you this one decision will change your life forever.